Real quick, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahshai Bashim Rakah Kodash Shalom to the 144,000 and the rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. I'll make this super quick. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, Even Andrew Tate knows about the grape doctrine, or knows that the grape doctrine is biblical. So what's up with the rest of you Israelites out there that get all emotional about this whole thing? Because you don't study the scriptures, you don't put a scholar. You guys are not scholars, first of all. You guys are not scholars. You guys are emotional bags of wind. So anyway, so this is a video that I just came across, put up an hour ago. Remnant saved. And then, I just did a video a couple of days. I'll pull that up in a minute. It was told to me by a beloved brother, elder. He's in the spiritual realm now, but this was the last week he told me. He said, did you see, are you keeping up with the House of David series on Prime Video? And I said, no. I mean, I know about it. I wanted to see it, but I didn't get a chance. I didn't really get into it as of yet. And he said, you got to watch episode 4 because it deals with the grape doctrine. So I watched the episode 4, and they covered the grape doctrine because one of the sons of Saul had actually he seduced her into having it, which is what is that? Exodus 22 and 16, where you entice a girl. So you got these clown ass Israelites saying Deuteronomy 22, 28. You can start at 25, 28, and 29. And it's talking about you rap to her. You said nope, no, it's not. Totally different. The part where when you entice the woman to have sex with you is in Exodus 22 verse 16, showing that you guys are not scholars. You know, you might think you scholars, you might say that you scholars, and you go into the Hebrew and you dig into the script. You don't dig into the scriptures because you wouldn't get emotional. So anyway, so in episode 4, you can watch it. The guy comes to Saul, accusing one of Saul's sons of seducing his daughter. And then the guy, which is a Danite, that's not even in the scriptures, they just put it in there. That's called creative license. And he said, you did this to my daughter, now you got to marry her. And he said, if you don't marry her, you get stoned to death. Then Saul's wife, I believe, because I didn't watch the whole episode, which was the mother of the son of Saul. He said, no, he got to be stoned to death. So she said, okay, well, if my son gets stoned to death, that's fine with that, but your daughter has to get stoned to death too. And the guy that played the Danite, he didn't say anything. Because that's when you he mentioned Deuteronomy. He didn't mention Deuteronomy 22. He mentioned Deuteronomy. He mentioned the law of Moses. A man entices a woman that's engaged, they both get put to death. A man forces himself on a woman that's engaged and she screams, he gets put to death. So you get the understanding. So now I want you to listen. This is fair use. This is from the what is this guy? Patrick Bet David, which is Iranian. He could be a Jake, you know. And he's talking here, and I'm gonna just play a little bit clip of it. So listen up. Okay, marriage is not about love, which is true. Andrew Tate's shocking take on parenting, marriage, and infidelity. So listen up. I may have to bring it back. I'm at 3 minutes and 2 seconds in of a 20-minute video.
So we'll find it. But he talks about what marriage effectively is.
So we're going to find out what marriage is. So you Israelites, lend the ear and get your, get your mental Rolodex working and put your scholar caps on.
Well, he's looking for it. Do you have a summary? Yeah, so what he's saying is people will say Andrew has a bunch of baby mamas and that he's irresponsible. But truthfully, a man's true obligations are protection and provision. This is why the Bible said if you rape a woman, you have to marry her.
Did you hear that for you fake, you weak-ass, emotional-ass Israelites out there? And you guys brag, oh, Andrew Tate, he's a Jake. His father's a Jake. He one of us. Let's bring that back. Bring that back.
He's fine. He did a thread breakdown of it. This is about 2 weeks ago. His reply to my Elon video. If you can find it, that's not it. There's another one. If you can find it, I would love to read it verbatim because he explains something which is so pertinently important. It's extremely important. So we'll find it. But he talks about what marriage effectively is. Well, he's looking for it. Do you have a summary? Yeah, so what he's saying is people will say Andrew has a bunch of baby mamas and that he's irresponsible. But truthfully, a man's true obligations are protection and provision. This is why the Bible said if you rape a woman, you have to marry her. People see that as, oh, that...
Now, a guy can understand what it's talking about there in Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter. If this happens, this is what you do. Okay?
And you're not going to see this if you're full of emotions. You're not going to see this if you're full of emotion. It's obvious that this guy's not emotional.
It's not advocating to go out and do it. And we have broken that down multiple times. But it happens.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to do it because you're disrespecting the father. If the daughter is not engaged and you go ahead and seduce the girl to have sex, you got to pay the dowry. You take her against her will because she's young or whatever. It's a diss to the father. So you're not supposed to do that because you're disrespecting the father. But the father can't say, I want him put to death unless she's engaged to be married. Understand that thing there. Stop getting fucking emotional. Anytime these guys want to get on GMS, you know what they do? They go all the way back to 2012 when Polite rolled up and asked a question. And the reason why Polite asked the question, because he was doing that. He was dealing with underage women. He was dealing with one of his wife's daughters and told got her at a young age to come move out from New York out there to Cali. And the mother was still here in New York. He was playing a game on them women that he had. I wonder what them women are doing now. He playing a game with them. And they were really airheads. You know? So if you know the backstory, you know what young girl I'm talking about. And I said that before I found out. I said this guy's got eyes on this little young girl here, man. So this one that Latin chick that he got with was the mother. She was a damn freak. There's a video out of her butt naked with a leash on her neck, and this guy's holding the leash. I never thought he would do that to my daughter, bitch. He was doing that to you. So he's locked up for 7 years because he didn't do it right. What I mean by he didn't do it right, just because the Bible says that and he justified it. Yeah, I got justification now because the men see the even Polite said the highest level of Israelism are the men of GMS. Because he did say in front of us, he said, you almost had me, you almost got me. You almost got me. That's what he said. He didn't say that to nobody else. All right? But he didn't do it right. This is not the ancient world, brother. We're on the Esau's zone. You can get with another man. You can get a wife. You can have your wife lay with an Edomite man, let the Edomite man squirt all over her, smack her up, call her a nigger bitch, and then you can send her to the husband, a so-called black man, an Israelite, to treat him like a hoe and stick a pickle up his mustard. You can do that in Esau. They can't lock nobody. They can't lock nobody up. You can do that. But if you grape a little girl underage, even if she consents or her mother consents, no, you going to jail. Because we're dealing with Esau's laws. So you can't just say, well, I'm just in the Bible. Esau don't give a fuck about the Bible. The scriptures say he casts the word behind him. This man don't give a damn about the Bible. He give a damn about his laws. Why you think when Trump came in, he made up his own fucking laws? Hey, Trump came in and just gave you, he signed, just made new laws.
And this is how you deal with it.
But what they were trying to do is say to men, you're responsible for what you create. You now need to protect her. You must provide for her because of what you've done. It was almost like marriage was not a punishment for the man, but an obligation for the man. And he was explaining.
Even here, when you go and read the scripture, it tells you that you pay the father 50 shekels, and now you're married unto her. If you did that, it's not that deep.
And you don't want to do that because 50 shekels, when you adjust it to how the money that we deal with, it's equivalent to a little bit more actually than $500,000. A little bit more than $500,000. I believe when I did the math, it was $600,000. So you grape somebody, you got to stay with her, you can't divorce her, and you got to pay the father more than $500,000.
Explaining that marriage throughout the longest period in human time was protection and provision. That's all it was. A king could have more wives because he could protect and provide for more wives. He's saying marriage was not bouquets.
That's why David had many women, and the Most High told him you could have had more women if you wanted. And all the women that David dealt with was virgins except for Bathsheba and what's her name? Abigail, if I'm not mistaken. Abigail, which is Nabal's wife. Those women were not virgins. The other women that he got, the marriages that he got with the concubines, they were all virgins. Solomon, every 1,000 women, 300 concubines, 700 wives, they were all virgins. They were all untouched.
Marriage was not remembering anniversaries. Marriage was not date nights. Marriage was not holding hands. Marriage was, do I protect you? Do I provide for you? So he effectively defended me and said, Andrew does not have a bunch of baby mamas. He has a bunch of wives because they're all paid for. They're all protected. They all have private security. They're all in.
And he's right about that. That was the correct breakdown. You dealing with this woman, if you're dealing with multiple women, they're technically your wives. You know, if they're of your nation. If they're of the other nation, your concubine.
Right, and we're going to have concubines in the kingdom like we got concubines here. If there's an Edomite, fine-ass Edomite woman, look good as hell, and she's rubbing on me, I'm gonna rub back on her. Now, Captain Jazariak made a statement in one of the videos recently, a couple of days ago. He mentioned GMS. GMS is teaching that when the kingdom comes, we're going to grape Edomite women. If we want to. Where are we going off at? We're going to have women of the other nations as concubines in the kingdom. That's the ultimate sign of you taking over a nation. When you take over a nation, even Arnold Schwarzenegger said that in the Conan Barbarian, the barbarian. He said, "See the enemy, defeat the enemy. See the enemy driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their woman." Meaning you graping them, you taking them. That's even in the law. Not one jot or one tittle in no wise shall go away from the law. I'm merely paraphrasing Matthew 5, until all these things be fulfilled. Meaning in the kingdom, the law that's on this side is going to be applied on that side. So part of the laws of Moses is taking the enemy's woman and making her your woman. But she's a concubine. If she's of another nation, she's going to be the status of a concubine. Let me just try to hit this again.
Okay.
Mansions. They all drive Bentleys. He's doing his job as a man. That's what a man is supposed to do, effectively. So I would say to my daughter, are your bills paid? Now, if he cuts the money off, or if he refuses to help her or protect her, if he leaves her in the ghetto, that's a different conversation. But if my daughter came to me and said, "Dad," I say, "Yes, what's up, my love? I'm living in my mansion, and I'm driving my Bentley, and I have my..."
Now, does this mean you have to have a mansion and a Bentley in order to have another woman? No. But the overall sentiment of what he's saying, as far as a man dealing with a woman, is true. And you heard him break down there in Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, which is what I wanted to stick to. Because when you skip it over, I typed this into Gronk. Explain Deuteronomy 22, 28 through 29. Okay? So, Deuteronomy 22, 28 through 29 is a passage in the Old Testament that has sparked much discussion and interpretation due to its cultural and historical context. Here's the text from the New International Version. All right? So, because over time and how changes in society, how people view this chapter, you know, it can be spicy. Now, it reads in the NIV, "If a man happens to meet a virgin who is not pledged to be married, she's not betrothed, and rapes her," literally translates that word, right? "And they are discovered, he shall pay her father 50 shekels of silver. He must marry the young woman, for he has violated her."
And that's approximately $500,000. So that's something that you don't want to do unless you got a whole lot of money.
"He can never divorce her as long as he lives." So this protects her in a society where if a woman gets raped, she's pretty much would be cast out as defiled and disgusting. All right. So this law protects the woman to be able to be taken care of in a society that's very strict with this stuff. Back in the ancient world, this is not rocket science. This is only with people that try to twist things to try to get.
People can't see it because they're emotional. Because they leave their scholarly cats at home, caps, and they come with their emotions. Women get caught up in their emotions, man. Can you imagine? Could you imagine if Abraham was emotional like you cats? He would have. The Most High said, "Kill your son Isaac, your beloved son," and I believe it actually says your only begotten son, which wasn't his only begotten son, but that was his number one son, even though it was his second son. He said, "Man, fuck that, man. I ain't dealing with you." The Most High got a man of integrity and character, not some emotional Negro. Abraham was not a Negro. He was a Hebrew.
Get one up on Great Millstone, but it is backfiring because people are finding out once they actually look into the matter that people are disingenuous, they're lying about Great Millstone, and then you discover all of these scandals amongst these other groups. They're the ones that are freaks. Okay? It says context and meaning. It says this law falls within a broader section of Deuteronomy, chapters 21 through 22, that addresses various social and moral regulations for ancient Israel. It specifically deals with a situation involving a man and an unbetrothed virgin. meaning a young woman not yet promised in marriage. The Hebrew word translated as raped here is the combination of two verbs, tapas, to seize or take hold of, and shakab, to lie with. Scholars debate whether this always implies forcible rape or could also include seduction followed by consensual sex.
No, that's what is it? That's Exodus 22 and 16. That's seduction. Exodus 22 and 16 is seduction. Let me go to it for you weak-minded people out there. Yeah, Exodus 22 and 15. Bear me for a minute. Okay, here. And if a man entice, rap to the woman. And y'all know what I'm talking about. You deal with women and she kind of play hard to get. You gotta take her out. You gotta treat her like a queen. And then you get on in there. You get on in there. You smooth your way in there, so to speak. And if a man, I tell you by experience, man. And this one chick, fine as hell. The way I opened her up was she didn't have a license. She didn't know how to drive, so I let her drive my car. And I went to a parking lot and I let her drive her car. Let her drive my car around in the parking lot, and she was open. She was open. That's all I needed to do. So I enticed her. And if a man entice a maid meaning a young woman, whether she's recently married or has a children or not. Matter of fact, I'm gonna click on that. That is not engaged. That's what the word means. Read every word and lie with her. What does that mean? Have relations with her. He shall surely endow her to be his wife. There's a payment that you got to pay. Because it goes, if her father utterly refuses, which he shouldn't refuse because she's damaged goods. See, back then, Israel was doing well. Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked, Deuteronomy 32. So they're not going to get a woman that's already been with another man unless he commits adultery. Unless he falls head over heels in love with a woman that got divorced, because they allowed that back then. Remember what the Lord said in Matthew 19. They were wicked. If her father, so our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, who we worship, he updated that law. Utterly refused to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Meaning, because you did that, you disrespected me, I don't want you to marry my daughter, but you're going to have to pay for what you did. Now, she's going to have a hard time, he's going to have a hard time putting her out there to another man, because she at this point in time, she's young and naive. And this guy's gassing her up. She might be 12, 13 years old, fully developed, but she's young and tender. Like the Michael Jackson song, Pretty Young Thing. Pretty young, he didn't say pretty middle-aged thing. He didn't say pretty old thing. Who in the fuck wants Vivica A. Fox with the BBL? Ain't nobody want her. Hey, like my man said, Corey, what's his name? Corey, whatever his name is. He got the 5150 show. He when she first went on a TV show talking about she looking for a man, and he said that she looked like Guru. She looked like Guru from the Street Fighter, Corey Holcomb. And they showed a picture, a side by side of Vivica and Guru from the Street Fighter. She looked just like motherfucking Guru. So that BBL ain't gonna help. BBLs, I'm gonna tell it to you women. Them BBLs are turn off to men. And you can see a BBL with a real butt. They want the real thing. And if a man entice a maid, so his dowry is the money. But in the case of taking her by force, you have to marry her. You break it, you buy it. And you can't divorce her, and you got to give the husband over $500,000. You see? Back in the chattel slavery in America, you had Edomites that were in the business of selling fancy girls, which are exoticals. They call themselves exoticals. I call them international beauties. You got sisters that every man want to get with. I had this one woman, fiance, this is when I was in my 20s. Moabites want to get with her. Edomites want to get with her. Hamites want to get with her. Arabs want to get with her. Because she was a fancy girl. And her sister was a fancy girl too. And she was a Gadite. So she was able to speak fluent Spanish. So people thought she was Latin, or she was just a chick with an Edomite mother. Hey, her mother was fucking fine. I would have got with her mother if I wasn't with her. I said her mother was fine. And her mother loved the shit out of me. You know? So anyway. So you guys got to stop playing around with the scriptures, man. The scriptures ain't nothing to play with, man. So let's come on back over here. Let me X this out. See, we don't have to debate nobody. We above that, man. We above debating. We're above discussing anything. We don't discuss nothing with nobody. We lecture to you. We tell you what's up. We don't sit down and hear. We don't want to hear your views. You ain't got no view to give us any fucking way. Just shut the fuck up and listen. Because we are the authorities through the power of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai. So here we go. Let's listen to a little bit more.
In some cases. So this is what other people will say, that it's just you seducing a woman. But check this out. However, the dominant interpretation, especially when compared to Deuteronomy 22, 25 through 27, the previous verses, which clearly describes forcible rape of a betrothed woman, leans towards this being a case of sexual violation without consent. Because that's what it's talking about. It's talking about raping a woman. Point blank, period. It says the consequences. 1.
And she got to scream, because if she don't scream, because he may like it. And if she don't scream, they both got put to death. If she screamed, he got put to death.
Payment to the father. The man must pay the woman's father 50 shekels of silver. This amount is often understood as a bride price. A customary
that I read about the dowry. See, we was in order back then. And I was going to do a video on these women, these strippers, women that, this one chick, she says she'll do a shift and she'll bring home 1,200. If she does a double shift, she'll bring home double that. She'll bring home 2,400. She said now she might bring home $20. Them little cute, fancy girls, them exoticals. They get money, they do the table dances. Hey, like the scriptures say in Amos 7, your wife shall be a harlot in the city. The city is Babylon, man. All these women that you meet out there looking all good, they've been ran through. That's just a fact. That's a fact of life. And she ain't gonna tell you that. She'll tell you, oh, I only had one guy.
Payment in ancient Near Eastern cultures to formalize a marriage. This payment reflects the economic and social reality of the time.
Right, of the time, which is the ancient world. See, you Negroes, you've been in America too goddamn long. That's why a nigga get a contract. He playing for the NBA. He get a multi-billion-dollar contract. He buys his mama a house. He don't give his father shit. Yeah, my father wasn't. It doesn't matter whether your father was there or not. To honor your father and your mother, not your mother. I'm gonna get my mama a house. That's why the majority of you Negroes in the NBA, you go broke inside of years. You retire with 110 million, and then in 2-3 years you dead. You working at fucking Wendy's, man, cleaning bathrooms. What kind of fucking shit is that all about? Because you do not have discipline, man. You raised up by your mom and you think like your mother. You got a man's body and you got your mama's brain.
Where a woman's marriageability and thus her father's honor and security was tied to her virginity. Okay? 2. Marriage requirement. The man is obligated to marry the woman he violated. This might seem troubling to modern readers, see, and that's why we keep warning people you can't have American Babylon 7.0 2020 mindset when you read the scriptures. You got to come from an ancient Eastern perspective to understand the context of family, tribe, clan, nation, and how that was being dealt with back then. If you got if you shoot too cute in the mind, you'll get offended by the scriptures. All right? It says, this might seem troubling to modern readers as it appears to force the victim into a lifelong relationship with her abuser. However, in the ancient context, a woman who lost her virginity, especially outside of marriage, often face severe social stigma, shame, and reduced prospects of marriage.
Nobody wanted it. That's why you accuse a woman of not being faithful to the father, and the father and the mother had to bring the token of virginity. And if it was found out that she wasn't pure, she got put to death.
Most women, when that happened to them, they were through. They were cast out. Many of them would have to go into a life of prostitution. Okay? And reduce prospects for marriage. This law ensured that the man took responsibility by providing for her lifelong security and protection, rather than leaving her destitute or dishonored. See? It ain't just someone running around, you smashing, you just graping women all over the place. And
our people, you got like Houston, Texas, and Atlanta, and different places where Jake is. They fuck like fucking rabbits, and they, like project hoes. You got one chick, she live in the project. Every dude that ran through her. That's why the Most High's got to do away with them. He's got to destroy them. The majority of our people are going to be destroyed right here in America. They're going to be fired. They're going to be set on fire. And the new kingdom is wherein dwelleth righteousness. So anything that offend is not coming in the kingdom. You understand? Anyway, Shalom. You can watch the rest of this. Pretty good video. Matter of fact, excellent video. This video right here. The little that I heard.